Hello there. Welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. In this episode of NEET preparation, we'll be dealing with the chapter Morphology in Flowering Plants. This is the fifth chapter in the biology syllabus for grade 11 CBSE, and we'll be looking at previous year questions of medical entrance examinations in India. Let's begin. This is our first question. Velamen present in orchids help in A. Absorbing water from support, B. Respiration, C. Absorption of moisture from the air, and D. Synthesizing food. Let's look at each of our options one by one. Option D. Synthesizing food. This is done by the leaves of the plant, while the tissue velamen is a kind of spongy tissue found in the aerial roots of orchids. So option D is not the right answer. What about option A? Absorbing water from support. Now this makes sense because spongy tissue is really good at absorbing water, but the option says from support, and the spongy tissue is found in the aerial roots. So option A is incorrect. What about option B? Respiration. Respiration is done through the stem in the form of lenticels and leaves in the form of stomata. So option B is also not the right answer. The right answer is option C, absorption of moisture from the air. The spongy tissue helps in absorbing the moisture, and it's present in aerial roots, which are exposed to the air. So velamen present in orchids help in absorption of moisture from the air. Let's look at our next question. Composite fruits develop from A. Single ovary, B. Inflorescence, C. Apocarpous ovary, and D. Pericarp. Let's look at our options. Option D, pericarp. Pericarp is a special structure found in a fruit type known as drupe, and drupe is a kind of simple fruit. Well, a question asks to find out a composite fruit develops from which structure. So option D is incorrect. Let's look at option C, apocarpous ovary. Apocarpous ovary means that the ovary is made up of two or more gynoecium in a cluster. This forms an aggregate, which leads to aggregate fruits. So option C is incorrect. What about option A, single ovary? Single ovary leads to simple fruit. So option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, inflorescence. So a composite fruit, such as a jackfruit, is made out of the entire inflorescence of that plant. Let's look at this question. If the anthers are fused together, forming a tubular structure, while the filaments remain free, the condition is found in which one of the following families? A. Malvaceae, B. Cucurbitaceae, C. Solanaceae, and D. Asteraceae. Let's look at each of our options. But before that, let's know that the condition for fused anther and free filament is known as syngenesis. Syngenesis. Let's look at each of our options. Option A, Malvaceae. In Malvaceae, both anther and filament are separate. So option A is incorrect. What about option B, cucurbitaceae? This is also incorrect as it has the same condition. Both anther and filament are separate. What about option C, solanaceae? Again, we have the same condition. Both anthers and filaments are separate. The only option here which is correct is option D, Asteraceae. This kind of plants have the condition of fused anther and free filament, which is known as syngenesious. An example for an Asteraceae plant is sunflower. Let's look at this question. Floral diagram fails to indicate A, epiphyly and epipetally, B, aestivation and placentation, C, position of ovary on the thalamus, and D, cohesion of carpels and stamens. So the question here asks us to find which of these is not found in a floral diagram. Which of these is not indicated in a floral diagram? Let's look at the first question, the first option actually. Epiphyly and epipetally. Now in both of these conditions, the stamen is fused with either the petal or with a combination of petal plus calyx. So a petal plus sepal combination is known as a tepal. So when a staple fuses with a tepal or with a petal, the condition is known as epiphyly and epipetally respectively. But this is indicated in floral diagrams, so option A is incorrect. What about option B? Aestivation and placentation. Aestivation is a property of flowers which is mentioned in floral diagrams. So this deals with arrangement of petals. So option B is incorrect. Let's look at option D, cohesion of carpels and stamens. So this deals with either fused or free carpels or stamens, which is again indicated in floral diagrams. So option D is incorrect. The right answer is option C, the position of ovary on the thalamus. The floral diagram represents everything, but it is with respect to the ovary. So there, all of these other parts, such as the petals, the sepals, and the stamens, they are represented with respect to ovary in their positions. The ovary itself is not found out, and its position is not found out on the thalamus. So position of ovary on the thalamus is one thing that the floral diagram fails to indicate. Some other things are which root system it has, which type of leaf it has, etc. Floral diagram is exclusively for flowers, and the position of ovary on the thalamus, however, is not indicated. Next question. Aggregate fruits are developed from A, syncarpous ovary, B, multicarpellary syncarpous ovary, C, unilocular ovary, and D, multicarpellary apocarpous ovary. Let's look at each of our options. But before that, it's best to keep in mind that aggregate flowers are always found in apocarpous ovaries. So option A, syncarpous ovaries, would be incorrect as it is not apocarpous. Syncarpous ovaries form simple fruits. What about option B, multicarpellary syncarpous ovary? This again forms simple fruit. What about C, unilocular ovary? Unilocular means it's single, and a single ovary produces a simple fruit. The right answer is option D, multicarpellary apocarpous ovary. So as you can see, it complies with the fact that aggregate fruits are formed from apocarpous ovaries. Again, multicarpellary means there is more than one carpel system, more than one female in the flower. Next question. The presence of cilia, an oral groove, and food vacuoles, and the absence of chloroplasts in a unicellular organism indicate that the organism carries on A. Sexual reproduction, B. Autotrophic nutrition, C. Extracellular digestion, and D. Heterotrophic nutrition. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, sexual reproduction. Now, the organism in question is unicellular. So unicellular has no or very few sexual methods of reproduction. So option A is outright wrong. What about option B? Autotrophic nutrition. This is also incorrect. In the question, we have the condition absence of chloroplasts. The absence of chloroplasts indicate that the organism is not autotrophic. So autotrophic nutrition is incorrect. What about option C, extracellular digestion? The phenomena of extracellular digestion is present in both autotrophic and heterotrophic. So in a way, it does not actually indicate that the organism has extracellular digestion. So option C is also incorrect. The right answer is option D, heterotrophic nutrition. The presence of cilia, oral groove, and food vacuoles are indicative of the organism being something that hunts food. So it's hunting for food. It's constantly on the move and exploring for food. If it was an autotroph, it would not do that. The only organism that does that is a heterotroph. They are the ones which depend on other organisms for their nutrition, be it plants or animals, autotrophic or heterotrophic. So a heterotroph would depend on either autotrophs or other heterotrophs. Let's look at this question. Of the following instruments, which instrument is most commonly used to observe the external features of a grasshopper's abdomen? And so we have four options. Option A is ultracentrifuge. Option B is microdissection instrument. Option C is dissecting microscope. And option D is electron microscope. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, ultracentrifuge. Now, a centrifuge is used to spin liquids, and that separates the contents of the liquid in question. So an ultracentrifuge isn't really a way of observing external features of any creature's abdomen. So option A is incorrect. What about option B? Microdissection instrument. Now this is used to manipulate processes such as reproduction, immunization, etc. in microorganisms, but it doesn't really help in observing the external features. So option B is incorrect. What about option D, electron microscope? This is used to observe stuff, but it is used for organisms such as bacteria, which are very, very small. Well, we're asked to observe external features of a grasshopper's abdomen, which is way bigger than the size of bacteria. So option D is also incorrect. The right answer is option C, a dissecting microscope. Now, this allows you to view 3D images of the part in question in 50x magnification, and it is used in dissections. Let's look at this question. In a bisexual flower, if androecium and gynoecium mature at different times, the phenomenon is known as A. Dichogamy, B. Hercogamy, C. Heterogamy, and D. Monogamy. Let's look at each of our options. The term monogamy refers for mating for life. So one couple mates for life. This is known as monogamy. So the option D is incorrect. What about option C? Heterogamy. This refers to different gametes. So the size and shape of the gametes of both parents in sexual reproduction is different in the case of heterogamy. So option C is incorrect. What about option B? Hercogamy. Hercogamy refers to the spatial arrangement of stigma and anther, and this reduces interference. Now, both the androecium and the gynoecium can still mature at the same time in this condition, but what happens is that the stigma is placed far away from the anther, or it is placed higher or lower than the anther. So option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, dichogamy. So dichogamy ensures that the androecium and the gynoecium would mature at different times instead of different places, or the gametes being different. Next question. Parachute type dispersal occurs in A. Tomato, B. Mustard, C. Peas, and D. Cotton. Let's look at each of our options. Tomato is spread through animals, and the term parachute type dispersal is used for anemophily. No, so it's basically used for wind dispersal. The term anemophily is not used for wind dispersal, it's used for pollination by wind. Here we are referring to wind dispersal of seeds, so seeds are dispersed in the wind. So option A is incorrect. What about option D? Cotton. Cotton is again found in wind dispersal, so it is a possible candidate, but it uses tuft-like hairs in no particular arrangement, which is very different from parachute type, because parachute type dispersal contains a crown of hairs. So option D is incorrect. What about option C? Peas. Now peas, they just blast out, the package just blasts out and sends the seeds everywhere. So it's basically mechanical dispersal. So option C is incorrect because mechanical does not equal wind dispersal. The right answer is option B, mustard, which contains the crown of hairs necessary for the parachute type dispersal, which is a part of wind dispersal. Next question. Prickles of a rose are A. Modified leaves, B. Modified stipules, C. Exogenous in origin, and D. Endogenous in origin. Let's look at each of our options. Option A, modified leaves. Leaves are modified into other structures such as tendrils but not prickles. So option A is incorrect. Option B, modified stipules. Stipules are usually converted into spines, and prickles are way different from spines, even though they share the same function. So option B is incorrect. What about option D, endogenous in origin? Now, if it's endogenous, it occurs from vascular tissue. But the prickles of rose are formed from the cortex. So option D is incorrect because these prickles are found in the exterior and not interior. The right answer is option C, exogenous in origin. The term cortex refers to the outer part of the plant, which is exogenous. So both terms are applicable. So prickles of rose are exogenous in origin because they form from a cortex, the cortex of the rose. Next question. Which of the following are not a characteristic feature of Fabaceae? So we have 4 options. So what are we going to do now? We're going to write the floral formula of Fabaceae family. So this is the floral formula. So it is bracteate, it is zygomorphic, it is bisexual, the flower is pentamerous, the calyx is joined, and the corolla forms a peculiar arrangement of petals with keels, etc. And the androecium forms out of 10 stamens, out of which 9 are joined into 1 and 1 is separate. And the gynoecium is superior and it is only 1. So let's look at each of our options. A, taproot system, which is found in Fabaceae family. Compound leaves, again found in the Fabaceae family. And raceme inflorescence, again a distinctive feature of Fabaceae family. So this option is true, so that makes it incorrect because the question has asked us to find which is not a characteristic feature. So option A is true, which makes it incorrect. What about option D, monocarpellary, which is correct? Ovary is superior. Again, according to the floral diagram, it's correct. And bent stigma, which is a remarkable feature of Fabaceae family. So option D is also true. And since it is true, we mark it as incorrect in this question only. What about option C? Stamens are 10, intrors, basifixed, and dithecous. So we have 10 stamens. That's true because we have a 9+1 arrangement. And they are intros, which means 9 of them are bundled into 1 and one is separate. And basifixed means they're fixed to the base of the plant, that is near to the ovary. And dithecous refers to the number of lobes on the anther, which is again dithecous according to Fabaceae regulations. So that goes on to say that this option C is also a true statement, which makes it incorrect. The right answer is option B, which is false. The flowers of the Fabaceae family are zygomorphic, and the arrangement of the petals shows you that it's a vexillary aestivation and not twisted aestivation. And it is not gamopetalous. Let's look at the next question. Which one of the following is correctly matched? Let's look at each of our options. Option D, yeast and zoospores. So which kind of spores are found in yeast? Yeast is actually a part of Ascomycetes, which goes on to say that it has ascospores. So option D is incorrect. What about option C, Chlamydomonas and Conidia? That is also incorrect because Chlamydomonas contains zoospores instead of conidia. So option C is incorrect. What about option B? Ginger equals sucker. Now, sucker is a type of stem, underground stem, but in ginger, it is a rhizome that is present. The part that we eat is the rhizome of the plant. So option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, onions, which are bulbs. So in bulbs, they have a collection of leaves plus the least amount of stem, which is just a disc. So in a bulb, the stem is only found at the disc, while all of these are leaves. Let's look at the next question. Now we're asked to read the following statements, and we should find out which condition of flowers is being described by these three statements. And we have the options hypogyny, perigyny, and epigyny, and the fourth option is none of these. So let's look at the following statements. Statement number 1. Gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level. Next point, ovary is half inferior. And 3, the examples of this are plum, rose, and peach. So all of these statements are correct. But if you look closely at statement number 2, where it says the ovary is half inferior, this should immediately give you the answer, that is, the ovary is perigynous. So the condition of flowers here is perigyny. That's option B. Hypogyny is incorrect, as that refers to superior ovary. And epigyny refers to an inferior ovary. While option D would be downright incorrect because we've already found option B to be satisfying the three statements. Let's look at this question. Which one of the following options is correct? So we have to identify the 5 structures that are labeled here using the 5 letters A, B, C, D, E. So if you look at the second diagram, you find that E grows downwards and C grows upwards. So this is when a seed is opened. And you know that the part that grows downwards is a radicle, while the part that grows upwards is a plumule. And if you look at the part A carefully, you find that it's sort of a hole, and the hole in the seed coat is known as hilum. So when we look at the options, we find that A hilum, C plumule, and E radicle is found in option B. So by reduction, we found out that option B is the right answer. So let's look at the other options. B is micropyle, that is correct. And D is a cotyledon, which is also correct. Let's look at this question. Seeds are adaptively important because, and now we have 3 statements, and we need to find out which of these is correct. 1, they maintain dormancy, that is correct. It's only when you get the right conditions that seeds start to grow. Until then, they're dormant. B, statement 2, they protect young plants during vulnerable stages. Again, that refers to dormancy, that's correct. And 3, they store food for young plants and facilitate dispersal, which is also correct. Storing food is done by cotyledons, and dispersal is done using wind, water, mechanical, or animal means. So all of these statements are correct, which goes on to say that option D is correct. So option D says that all of these statements are correct. In option A, it says that option 2 is wrong, which is incorrect. In option B, it says that statement 1 is wrong, which is incorrect. And in option C, it says that statement 3 is wrong, which is also incorrect. The right answer is that all of these statements are correct. Let's look at this question. We need to match the following lists. List 1 contains coleorhiza, apogamy, indusium, and caudex. And list 2 contains development of sporophyte directly from gametophyte without intervention of gametes, development of gametophyte directly from sporophyte without the involvement of reductional division, an unbranched columnar stem with a crown of leaves, protective covering of the radicle, protective structure of a sorus. So we need to find out which of the 4 options given here is correct. So now, if we choose our options carefully, we would be able to solve this question easily. Let's look at option A, coleorhiza. Now, coleorhiza is protective and it's found on the root side of monocot seeds. So let's look at our options. A4, which is only found in option B, indicates that option B is the right answer. Let's look at our other parts of it. So statement B, that is apogamy, is the development of sporophyte directly from gametophyte without intervention of gametes, which is true. Indusium is the protective structure of a sorus, also correct. And caudex is the unbranched columnar stem with a crown of leaves, is also correct. The right answer is option B, A4, B1, C5, and D3. Next question. Which of the following is a modified stem for the protection, I repeat, protection of plants from browsing animals? So browsing animals refer to herbivores, and modified stem, which is used for protection of plants. So it has to be something that's sharp. Let's look at each of our options though. Option D, tuber. This is incorrect. For one thing, it is not used for protection, and 2, this is a modification of a root, while we are asked to find the modification of a stem. Let's look at option C, rhizome. Now this is a modified stem, but it's underground. And it is not used for protection, it's used for storage. So option C is incorrect. What about option A, tendrils? Tendrils are used for support and they originate from leaves. So they are modified leaves. Leaves, not leaves. So option A is also incorrect. The right answer is option B, thorns. Thorns are modified stems used for protection from herbivores, aka browsing animals. Let's look at this final question. Our final question says, leaves of dicotyledonous plants possess dash venation, while dash venation is the characteristic of most monocots. So let's look at each of our options first. So, option D, obliquely and parallel. Venation is of 2 types, parallel and reticulate. So option D is incorrect as the term obliquely is not used in venation. Option C, reticulate and perpendicular. The term perpendicular is not used in venation, so option C is incorrect. Now, how do you choose between options A and B? Now, to do that, we must keep in mind that reticulate is less advanced and parallel is more advanced. And if you look at the 2 types of angiosperms here, dicots are less advanced while monocots are more advanced. So it goes on to say that option B is incorrect, while option A is the right answer. So reticulate, which is less advanced, is found in the leaves of dicots, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocots, which are more advanced. So reticulate venation is for dicots and parallel is for monocots. Option A is the right answer. And thereby, we conclude this episode of NEET preparation. So, did you know that Brain Blitz Audios is a quality content making channel dedicated in the field of education? For more of our useful and interesting content, please subscribe to our channel. If you like what you saw, please press the like button and give us some more suggestions on what to do next in the comments section below. Until the next episode, see you soon. Ta-ta for now.